Why even do that? Why not just say, like, I was trying to write this like an AI. I wrote this with an AI in mind.
I was trying to be formal.
Yeah, I was trying to
I mean, teachers are fucked. I remember back in my day, they had some websites that was. Do you guys remember? It was very famous that teachers would use to detect if you plagiarized.
Turn it in.
Turn it in. Yes, thank you. But it was very primitive. You could throw it off by just, you guys know the character sheet on Windows. You could open it up and find like an ASCII character that kind of sort of looks like an A, and you could replace all of the A's in your essay with that symbol and turn it in. Couldn't detect it. It was perfect. I forged entire essays that way and handed them in to my like history teachers and shit. But now, I guess we're gonna see how it goes. It's entertaining to me.
Do you ever think about how many doctors there are out there, practicing doctors, that forged their way through college and are currently operating on people or like giving life-altering advice based off forged?
There's gotta be a lot.
There's a ton.
Maybe not that many, but have to be. Wasn't there a very famous one, Dr. Death, I think they called him? This guy basically kind of sort of just fucked his way through college, and then he showed up to surgeries literally high on drugs. And he like crippled multiple people that way.
You're mixing the names up. Dr. Death was a Kevorkian that did assisted suicides, I think.
Yeah. But there could be someone that you're describing, Kaya, but that's not where the nickname was attributed.
Could be, yeah.
But you know, this is the kind of stuff you just gotta not think about if you want a happy life. What do you call a doctor who gets all D's in medical school?
Is this a joke?
Doctor. They qualify whether they get straight A's top of their class or whether they barely pass. They're still a doctor.
Well, do you pass on a D?
Yes.
Really?
No, you don't pass on a D. I don't know where you're getting that from. It has to at least be a C.
I thought it was a C.
What?
Yeah, it has to at least be a C.
Maybe for medical school, I guess, but for regular school, I know you can pass.
For medical school, I think it would be slightly higher.
I would hope it'd be slightly higher, but it doesn't matter. The specifics of what does and doesn't pass doesn't matter. The point is a doctor could graduate at the top of their class with fucking accolades and everything, or they could barely pass by the skin of their teeth, like this close to failing out whatever the bar is, but they're still a doctor. They still can run a practice and be called doctor and all of that. You'd never really know unless you personally ask them.
But then they just lie to you.
Yeah, they're good at lying.
They're those liars. Fucking, you guys seen everything that's happened with the Pfizer vaccine all of a sudden? Jesus Christ, we're doomed.
Were we lied about that?
Yeah, and now it's giving everyone the heebie-jeebies. So everyone's shaking all over the place everywhere. It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Those memes, yeah. Well, that's a problem with the experts who would like the doctors. You can find any doctor and you can pay him to say the earth is flat, and they will do it. I mean, again, doctors said that smoking is good and a healthy way to lose weight. It's like,
well, that's not really a doctor problem. It's not the problem with doctors. It's just the problem with the system that we live in and people in general.
I think it's a problem. It's a problem with people not recognizing that doctors are not infallible.
Well, yeah.
Someone just says the experts, and you're supposed to be
trust the experts. Believe whoever's a doctor or a scientist. if they're a scientist or a doctor, they're instantly like infallible, which I don't necessarily think is true.
I certainly don't. The main person on Twitter that keeps spreading those videos of people doing the fucking Harlem Shake with the Pfizer vaccine stuff comes from a goddamn doctor.
Well, then which doctors do we trust and which ones we don't? Because
I don't know.
None of us.
I think a good starting point is a doctor that can recognize what real tremors and seizures look like would be a really great starting point.
But we're not smart enough to know when they're telling the truth mostly or lying.
Oh yeah,
mostly.
no, I agree. You're right.
Like this is obviously a pretty obvious.
I think you can be
case,
smart enough.
Say.
Like, okay, but I think you are smart enough to recognize when Pfizer says, "Oh, you should vaccinate yourself every month, 12 times a year," and also the vaccine, we're jacking the price up to $150, and we're petitioning the government to make it mandatory to buy it from us. I think you kind of understand that there's like a profit motive there, and this isn't all about science anymore. Most people get that, but you still get attacked if you say, "Well, I don't trust that expert that just said that." I mean, you were literally, remember, people had their entire YouTube accounts shut down when they said that, You know, the Wuhan virus may have come out of the Wuhan virology lab and not just spontaneously sprung into existence from a fucking bat. And now we know, oh, turns out the conspiracy theorists were right.
Well, only in that case. And well, we don't know that for sure as well, by the way. We don't know. Because you're just listening to experts that you agree with that say that it did. That's what I'm saying. How do we know which fucking experts to trust? Because none of us do the appropriate research into the data or the surveys or the research information, whatever.
I think that's a cope. I think
know.
you don't, and you assume no one else does either.
No, I don't assume no one else does. Sure, there's got to be like one guy that's right at least. There's got to be some kind of actual truth to things. But I don't know how to determine which one's
that
telling
guy
the
must
truth.
be depressed.
Because no one's listening to him.
Probably not.
Because no one's believing him or trusting him, and he's always correct about everything.
But what if it wraps around and he's correct about absolutely insane shit? So he's right
Like
about
the
the
sun
vaccines
feeding
and
you.
COVID, but then he's like, the aliens built the pyramids. I'm right about that too. I have the evidence, and he's just completely correct, and no one will
I still
believe him.
maintain there is now a new crop of ufology or uapology that is different from that of like 10 or to 15 years ago. I'm telling you guys, it's no longer just a bunch of hicks with half their teeth missing going, I got kidnapped by a UFO and they put stuff in my butt. It's like actual like smart people talking about this now, and I'm interested, but I'm also not like
Smart people are talking
I
about
don't wanna
putting stuff in
actually-
their
The
butts.
stuff in your butts, what got you? Huh?
No, it's like they analyze the government papers that they release a little bit, but it's also something that I don't want to spend that much time reading about. But the problem is, I actually reached out to 3 different people on Twitter about UFOs, and I was like, hey, what's like an easy entry into this? Like, where do I start? Because you guys just, you know, when someone throws around a lot of terminology
you don't
and
know where to start.
inside terms, and
It gets confusing.
Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck.
Why didn't you just ask
give
me?
a
I'm super deep into
101.
that shit. I check in on those communities often.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm always looking.
He
Okay,
said
so what's up?
he's always said that his dad is like
Yeah, my dad's
the
super into
master.
it,
He's
too.
basically a spaceship pilot at this point.
Okay, so does your dad... This is what I read up yesterday. So apparently the Trinity Project in 1945, the first nuclear bomb experiment, because that's significant, it was significant for our human species because we reached the atomic age, right? Our first atomic bomb, yay for us. Their theory is, one of the many theories, that UFO sightings have gone up since then because they may have been dormant vessels on Earth that are basically just meant to observe us as a primitive species until we discover atomic energy and then mobilize to observe us further from the air, I guess.
Yep. So I've never heard that. That sounds like an actual plot to Singularity on the Xbox 360. I would say like the best